that I was able to create that was consistent with the femoral blood levels.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Wellman, thank you. This be recross-examination by the defense. Mr. Chernoff. You may.
I do have one chart, Your Honor, one simulation. May this be marked People's 223 for identification?
It is.
Dr. Shafer, regarding lorazepam, did you in fact do a simulation involving lorazepam IV administration? Again, as correctly noted by defense counsel, showing administration not starting until about 1:30 in the morning on June 25th, 2009.
Yes, I did.
And a scenario that would work is, just as an example, because again, you don't have medical records, correct?
That is correct.
9 doses via IV of 4 milligrams each, starting at 1:30, gets you the femoral lorazepam levels at the estimated time of death around noon.
That is correct.
And that's what's demonstrated here on People's 223?
That is correct.
Thank you, Doctor. Nothing further.
Weldon, thank you. Mr. Chernoff, this be recross-exam.
Doctor, I assume the last simulation that was provided you did this weekend?
Yes, about 9 o'clock, about 10 o'clock last night. That is correct.
Based on the question that I asked you, you realized, hey, maybe I'll do another simulation, right?
That's correct.
And I believe that the response by Mr. Warren was this would work, right? Is that what he said? This would work.
I would have to ask to be read back to me.
Let me ask you a different question.
Yes, sir.
The extraordinary claim that you made in this case, it's certainly not extraordinary that Michael Jackson had to have received more propofol than what Dr. Murray said he gave, right? That's not extraordinary, is it?
Correct.
That's in fact, based on what Dr. Murray gave and based on what he told the police, you wouldn't even expect any kind of cardiorespiratory event whatsoever, right?
Let's do an incomplete hypothetical. Are we assuming other drugs were given, or?
The objection is sustained. It may assume facts not in evidence as well. The answer is stricken disregard. We'll ask Mr. Chernoff.
You believe that more propofol was administered into Michael Jackson at some point, don't you?
Yes, I do.
All right. The extraordinary claim, however, that you made was 100 milliliter infusion based on the demonstration that you provided to this jury. Wouldn't you agree that that's extraordinary?
It's based on the data.
Would you agree that that's an extraordinary claim, the demonstration that you gave to the jury and said occurred in this case?
Overruled.
Testimony.
You may answer it. Explain.
It's an ordinary claim.
Well, now we've discovered. Let's look at the IV that you said was used for an infusion. Okay, the IV setup.
Sustained.
The IV setup that you said was used for an infusion. You demonstrated for the jury that this particular IV set was used, and you said it was ordered from Suncoast. Do you remember saying that?
Objection misstates the testimony. Said it was.
It doesn't misstate that.
Okay. Remember?
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Approach that?
No. I'm going to sustain the objection. Re-ask the question. Thank you.
Well, then I'm going to have to do it over again. I see the exhibit. This is going to be exhibit 80. Yes. Not open.
Okay.
That's fine. I think it's a sealed package.
Sure. This is what you said to the jury last week was used by Conrad Murray to infuse propofol. Right?
No, that misstates my testimony.
All right. Was this one of the IV setups that you showed? Yes?
I believe so, yes.
Is this the IV setup that you said was purchased from Suncoast?
Yes.
Is this the IV setup you said was used for an infusion pump? Designed for an infusion pump?
Used for an infusion
Is it
pump.
designed for an
Just a
infusion
moment, please.
It is designed.
Wait a minute. Please. Please. What's the objection?
Misstates the testimony that he said it was used with an infusion pump.
Sustained. The answer stricken, disregard. Re-ask.
Is this designed?
Wait a minute. Please, don't interject.
It's an objection. It was Seacoast, not Suncoast. So the record's clear.
All right. Seacoast. Re-ask, please.
Is that what misrepresented your testimony, that it was Seacoast and not Suncoast? Let me ask you. This is designed for infusion pumps, right?
That is correct.
Did you use this to demonstrate an infusion of the propofol?
Yes, I did.
Did you use it to demonstrate an infusion of the propofol vial?
Yes, I did.
Now you're saying that this was not used. Is that right?
I don't know what was used. I wasn't there.
Well, now what you're saying is that defense WW. Now what you're saying is that defense WW, which is the Excel administration site, IV setup, was vented, right?
Objection. This testimony is regarding people's 157.
May I see it?
Just a moment, please. The objection is sustained. I don't believe the witness is referring to that, so you don't have to answer anything. You can re-ask your question, please. All right, we've got a lot of exhibits that have been opened. We need to put them back, though, when you're done using them, so we don't get them confused.
No question.
Well, the witness is being asked to look at something. Mr. Chernoff's indicating he's opening up something. I want something replaced, though, so we don't
Can
have...
you get... Yeah, I'm sorry, Your Honor. There's now 3 sets laying out here.
Mr. Chernoff, I don't know if you're through with any of the materials, but since they're exhibits, we need them replaced.
Well, I'm not going to ask you questions about it.
Okay, let's just make clear we don't want them confused. Go ahead. You're making reference to WW now?
Replace what is in your hand onto People's 157. This is identified as the exact type of IV setup. In fact, this is the IV setup that was found at the scene. Is that right?
That is correct.
This is the Excel IV setup.
That is correct.
And this Excel IV setup is vented.
Yes, this is the vent port right here.
In the analysis that you made, you referred to People's 80 as an IV that was vented, right?
Correct.
And that was used to infuse propofol into Michael Jackson.
Objection. Misstates the testimony.
I believe my testimony was very clear that an vented set had to be used. And it was my belief, because I had not yet examined this, that based upon the fact that the Seacoast documentation did not say vented, it was my belief prior to this hearing that there was no vent. But there is a vent. It's very clear. But my testimony was to the need for a vented
All
set.
right, Mr. Chernoff, you've got all sorts of materials lying on top of each other at the council table. We need the materials placed in their respective envelopes, please. So which are you putting in first?
I'm not putting anything in, George. I'm organizing it so we don't...
Well,
Is there something you'd like to do with it? Would you like to figure it out and take it out of it?
I will.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm putting People's 157 in a biopsy. All right. I'm putting People's 80 in a bag, small bag. And putting it in a large bag, marked as People's 80. All right?
Mr. Logan?
I observe that.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm taking People's 157 out again. Okay? And I'm also opening up People's 156. Okay? And I'm reaching in and I'm pulling out an IV bag. People's 157 was found, as you know, inserted into an IV bag. Right?
Objection. Assumes facts, not evidence.
Do you know whether it was?
Overall,
Calls for speculation.
overall, I would want to go back and look at the report. If you will hand me the report, I'm happy to look back at that.
All right. Let me ask you a very simple question. Could Dr. Murray or anybody in that room have taken People's 157 and stuck it into a propofol bottle and drained it through an IV? Yes or no?
Is it mechanically capable? Objection, big. Is it mechanically capable of doing that?
Overall, you may answer the question if you understand it.
Well, I do understand the question, but are you asking me if that's consistent with the evidence, or is it just physically possible to do it?
Is it possible for him to have done that?
It is physically possible to remove that and insert it into a bottle of propofol. That would be physically possible.
He would have opened the vent, stuck it in, and it could have drained. It's physically possible.
It's physically possible.
So Dr. Murray could have done that, but you now know, or you agree with me, that the evidence shows that there was no propofol in this line whatsoever.
That's correct.
So physically, Dr. Murray could have taken this line out of an IV bag, and if he wanted to run an infusion, could have just simply put it in a bottle. Physically.
Physically, yes.
Tell us what's going where, Mr. Chernoff.
Putting 157 back in 157. I'm putting 156 back in 156. Now it appears that your testimony is, Doctor, that your new theory is that there was actually another Excel line at the scene?
It's not a new theory at all. My demonstration was of two IV lines with the requirement that the IV line attached to the bottle is vented. That was my demonstration. That hasn't actually changed at all.
Well, but is your new theory that particular IV line, which is recognized as People's 80, was no longer used, and that an Excel was used?
I wasn't there. I don't know which one. I just know a vented set was used.
Well, that's true. You weren't there.
Fact.
The answer, yes?
The answer is yes. I was not there.
Everything else is stricken. Disregard.
Doctor, on Thursday, or the day that you came up with this demonstration, were you aware?
The organization came up with, the people asked him to demonstrate.
Just a moment. It's argumentative, sustained. Re-ask.
When the people first approached you to ask you to demonstrate, were you intending to demonstrate the cut IV bag at that time, or were you intending to demonstrate something else?
Overall, do you understand it?
Yes.
You may answer.
I was intending to demonstrate the setup for a intravenous infusion. The primary purpose is because the plumbing is not at all obvious to a non-medical person. The need for two lines, one line being the saline line, and one line being the propofol line.
Doctor, my question is this. When Mr. Walden approached you and popped open the tab on the propofol bottle, which was marked as People's 30, were you planning to demonstrate that as a scenario in this case?
I was asking the questions of the doctor. He was responding to my questions, Your Honor.
I'm going to overrule the objection. You may answer.
I don't understand the question. First,
Okay. I don't understand the question. Is the answer everything else is stricken? You may re-ask it.
You have demonstrated for this jury a propofol bottle propped up in a bag, an IV bag, correct?
That is correct.
Were you planning to make any other demonstration of any other possible scenario?
Overall, my scenario, can you tell me what you mean by the word scenario? I was trying to demonstrate primarily plumbing.
Were you going to demonstrate to the jury another way for that propofol bottle to have infused propofol through that line? Were you, let me be more specific, please. Were you about to demonstrate for the jury that that propofol bottle was going to hang on that IV stand?
Whether or not it hung on the IV stand was irrelevant to my demonstration. I truly cared neither way.
Were you going to demonstrate that to him?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained. You don't have to answer it. Partial answer stricken. Disregard.
I'll pass away.
Thank you, Mr. Chernoff. Anything on redirect, Mr. Weldon?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.